In space, nobody can hear you scream. Except that's not entirely true, but it's far from false. Given how sound is just air molecules pounding against each other, there could be some sounds in space. In fact, even planets make sounds, but they're not gonna be very loud sounds. No, but seriously, the hell am I talking about? Alien the role-playing game by Free League. Wait, didn't I talk about these guys before? Huh. Right, the One Ring game. Okay, so this is a positive start. Let's talk about one of the greatest horror franchises ever. I think I've only seen 2 Alien movies, and they were both on the Sci-Fi Channel, so not good ones. Alien vs. Predator, I think, was one, and I believe Aliens was on some painkillers when I broke my collarbone. I just can't remember jack about it. Admittedly, my experiences are not so good, so my opinion might be a little questionable out the front gate. Now, talking about this game, it works off an odd D6 dice pool system. You'll be asked to roll a D6, a D3, 2D6, and D6D6, which the last one is odd. It's roll 2d6 and each die is a different spot on the number. So one die is the first digit, second die is the second digit. This game, much like the One Ring, wants you to buy special dice for this game, but it's absolutely worthless to buy those damn dice. They replace one on the stress dice with the fucking face hugger, which for those who are fortunate enough not to know what a face hugger is, here you go. Enjoy the nightmares. But the number 6 on the base dice is replaced with what looks like a plus sign. I don't know what this is a reference to. I can't find where it is, honestly. This dice system is messy as hell, as it expects you to have 2 different sets of 6-sided dice of 2 different colors. Arguably, you only need 2d6 of each kind, but they sell 5d6 of each set. Why? Lord, I hope this book explains it. This game also says it needs a special deck of cards to work for initiative in combat and for keeping track of key gear, weapons, and vehicles, which seems sort of messy too. The book says it's not necessary to have the deck, but the statement that it's used to essentially find your equipment implies that that information is not in the book itself. But there is a chapter about gear, so I don't know. Let's assume the deck isn't necessary. There's 2 different ways to play this game: cinematic play and campaign play. What do these mean? A cinematic play seems to be a pre-written game. Okay, odd name. Made me think of how Starfinder's new enhanced book with the cinematic starship combat thing, but pre-written games are fine, especially when they're supplied with a book like this one is. Campaign play seems more like a homebrew campaign, creating custom characters or just playing a custom game. Though it does recommend everyone start with a similar job background, being the reason they're in the vacuum of space. Now we get to character creation. This is a 10-step plan, and some of these should be combined together. But let's name them in order and give a brief explanation. Choose a career, which is essentially your class. Spend points on attributes, which are your ability scores. Spend points on skills, which are your skills. Choose your career talent, which is essentially your first ability you get from your class. Choose your name, which I hate when games make this a step. It's a name. Just pick one out of a baby book at random if you can't think of one. Decide your appearance, which I think the same thing as this damn name thing. Hell, it's really not important from a table play perspective. Decide your personal agenda, which actually does affect the gameplay surprisingly enough, but more in a roleplay aspect. Choose your buddy and rival, which I'm not sure if it's asked yet for players as such or background characters like in Cyberpunk Red. Pick your gear and signature item, which is important, but why doesn't this come before the last part? Roll for cash? Let's go by this stupidity step by step. Look, I know I'm showing some venom in this already. It's just a whole lot of why, though, with this game. Career is your class. Each career has some recommendations for each things, including names, personal agenda, gear, and features you have for your appearance. We've got as follows: Colonial Marine. Lord, I have flashbacks every time I read that. Colonial Marshal, which seems to be a Marine with extra steps. Company Agent, which won't make sense under most situations unless you work for Wayland. Kid, which is literally just that, a kid in the vacuum of space. Yes, I know Aliens had a kid, but that was on a mining plant. Medic, which should be on every fucking ship, but is only in a couple of the movies. Officer, which is a marshal, but with less authority. Pilot, which can often be replaced with an android, which you can play as. Roughneck, which is essentially the crew from the first movie, but also space truckers. And Scientist, which is what people seem to worship as saints nowadays. I now have to scroll back to the attributes, which are not in the pages after careers. There are 4 of them: strength, agility, wits, and empathy. I don't think I need to explain these, but I need to pad out the runtime, really. Strength is physical power, agility is body control and speed, wits is intelligence, perception, and sanity, and empathy is your charisma and understanding of others. Great. You get 14 points to spread across them. Each attribute must have at least 2, but no more than 4, unless it's a key attribute for your career. Androids follow the same rule, but after spending 14 points, you can add 3 to 2 of these. Of course, if your group and the game mother allows it, I really hate that name, you can play as an android. You won't be able to, quote, push skills. You won't get stressed and won't be allowed to take a signature item, and you don't need to make panic rolls. You take damage different. We might get into this, but I don't recommend allowing an android in your game. Next are skills. You've got 12 skills, each tied to a different attribute. Heavy machinery, stamina, and close combat is strength-based. Mobility, range combat, and piloting are agility-based. Observation, comtech, and survival are wits-based, and command, manipulation, and medical aid are empathy-based. You get 10 points total. You can put up to 3 of those points into each skill listed as a career skill. Any leftovers can be spent in other skills, but you can only have 1 in each skill. Next are career talents. When you start, you choose one of 3 offered by your career. Of course, when I was looking for the careers a moment ago, I couldn't find the talents, so I think they might be in the talent chapter, but why would you not put that with the career they are tied to specifically? Why are the skills? Here's my first major complaint. This book is spaced out, formatted, and written in a way so that there is maybe 3 things of information on each page, and the rest is just empty space. Not even artwork tied to it necessarily. There is artwork, but it is kind of difficult to look at. So this book is designed to be expensive. It is designed to take as many pages as possible just so it can charge you more to buy the book. Okay, now health is essentially your strength score with talents capable of modifying them. If you hit 0, you become broken and take a critical injury, explained 69 pages after it has this bit here. Personal agenda is essentially what your ultimate goal is. Do you want a promotion? Do you want to see your family again? Yada yada. At least career section actually recommends this part and doesn't make you flip to another chapter to find it. Looking into the explanation of buddies and rivals, this asks you to pick a player to be each, which means this game requires at least 3 players minimum and can't function with any less. What does this do? This essentially is for the GM to make infighting happen between characters to try and up the fear, which isn't how that works. Not only that, but it wants you to keep this secret between the other players and the GM, leading to some actual players fighting. Next page actively tells you how to deal with PvP, which the game also encourages. Fuck! This is absolutely horrible. It tries to say that in the campaign play, it's not likely to come up, but then it says it is required as well. Next is your starting gear. Your careers determine which shit you start with. Again, in a different chapter. That chapter explains what different weapons, tech, and tools can do and how to utilize them. Signature items are just for flavor and do absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, vehicles and spaceships should be provided by the quote mother at the beginning of play, like most of them are in the Alien movies. I'm going to speed this up. XP is dependent on what you do. 5 XP can be used to increase a skill by 1 or used to gain another talent, but with talents, you need to roll wits as check as well. This book is fucking horrible. So much flipping, so much empty space on each page. This is definitely designed to be a pricey book on what could have been a lot cheaper. I don't like what it does try to explain when it just tells you to go to another page to figure it out. I give this book a 73% due to the sheer unnecessary bullshit it does. Now, I'm going to read the new Starfinder book and read more about Necron, so shove off.